Welcome back to the BodyMaitre Podcast. I'm your host, Darreck. Have you ever found yourself stuck in a conflict with someone, maybe a family member or a close friend, where the tension feels ancient? You know the feeling I'm talking about? It's that heavy, invisible friction that doesn't make sense logically, but it triggers a deep emotional reaction in you every single time. You try to keep the peace, you stay quiet, but the drama just keeps looping. Today, we are going to dive deep into the concept of a past lives program in spiritual response therapy, or SRT. But we aren't stopping there. We are going to look at how I use the BodyMaitre system to expand that research across the four bodies: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, to understand not just what happened in a past life, but how it is actively shaping your personality and your challenges today. So, what exactly is a past lives program in the context of spirituality and SRT? Imagine your soul is like a computer that has been running for thousands of years. In each lifetime, you install software, experiences, lessons, and emotions. Most of the time, when a lifetime ends, we uninstall the software and move on. But sometimes a trauma is so intense or a lesson is left unfinished that the program keeps running in the background. In SRT, a past lives program is essentially unresolved energy. It is a script you wrote for yourself centuries ago that you are still acting out today. It matters because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between then and now. If you died feeling abandoned in 1600, your subconscious is still trying to protect you from abandonment in 2025. These programs act like invisible filters, molding how you react to your boss, your partner, and especially your family. Let me share a fascinating case study I worked on that perfectly illustrates this. I had a client come to me struggling deeply with a sibling relationship. He described a lifetime of tension, stress, and drama between him and his brother. He told me that every time his brother creates trouble or instigates conflict, he just freezes. He keeps quiet. He swallows his words to avoid making it worse. He described it as feeling like there was an invisible, negative cord entangling them. No matter how much he tried to be good or peaceful, the conflict remained. He wanted to know, is there a karmic lesson here? Why can't I just speak up? We opened the research using the BodyMaitre charts to look at his four bodies. We didn't just want to know who he was, we wanted to know why he is hurting now. The story that unfolded was profound. It wasn't just about his brother, it was a story about the safety of silence. We discovered that his soul is currently operating on an outdated survival program from a past life where he experienced a traumatic abandonment. It was so painful that he built a fortress around his heart. Let's look at how this trauma lodged itself into his specific bodies. We started with the mental body, which is where the root cause lives. We found a program of abandonment. This is the seed. Somewhere in that past timeline, he was left behind by those he loved. This planted a subconscious belief that says, I am destined to be left behind, or, if I am not careful, the people I love will leave me again. In his current life, this makes him hyper-vigilant. He is constantly anticipating rejection, so he tiptoes around his brother to ensure the bond isn't broken. Next, we looked at the emotional body. This is where we see the reaction to that thought. It wasn't just one emotion, it was a cascade. We found that he first felt scared, which then turned into betrayal when help didn't come. That betrayal curdled into disappointment, and eventually it hardened into resentment. The final conclusion his heart drew was that he was unloved. Today, because he suppresses these feelings, they act as background noise. He carries a heavy, unexplained resentment toward his brother, not just for current actions, but for that ancient feeling of being unloved. Then we saw how this densified into the physical body. The energy blocked specifically in his throat chakra, manifesting as a block to speak up for the self. This is the somatic mechanism of his survival. In that past life, speaking up might have been dangerous, or perhaps he begged to stay and was ignored. His body learned a hard lesson. My voice has no power. So today, when his brother starts drama, his throat literally locks up. He isn't just being polite. His body is physically preventing him from speaking because it thinks silence equals safety. Finally, we looked at the spiritual body to find the consequence of all this. We found a pattern called hoarding old energies. Because he feels unloved and abandoned deep down, he tries to fill that void by hoarding. He holds on to old grudges, old memories, and perhaps even physical clutter. Why? Because holding on to things, even painful things, feels safer than letting go. To his subconscious, letting go feels like being abandoned all over again. When I explained this to the client, the shift in his understanding was immediate. I told him, in this lifetime, you are carrying a heavy energetic shield. Because that past abandonment hurt so much, you decided it was safer to be silent and to hold on to everything you have, rather than risk letting go and being empty again. His inability to speak up to his brother isn't weakness, it is a protection mechanism to keep from being rejected. His resentment isn't just anger, it's a wall to keep people from getting close enough to hurt him. And his spiritual hoarding is just a desperate attempt to fill the space where love should be. The lesson from the spiritual body was clear. Forgive and release. The work for him is to realize that he is safe now. The war is over. He can release the old resentment without disappearing. He can speak his truth to his brother without being abandoned. And even if conflict happens, he is strong enough to handle it. The lesson is to forgive the past so he can stop hoarding the pain and finally make room for new, authentic love. This is the power of combining SRT with BodyMaitre. We move beyond just labeling a karmic debt and start understanding the personality of the trauma. When we understand why we are blocking our own voice, the healing begins naturally. If this story resonates with you, or if you feel like you are hoarding old emotions or silencing your truth to keep the peace, take a moment today to check in with your throat center. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that is ready to be released? Thank you for joining me on the BodyMaitre Podcast. I'm Darreck, and I'll see you in the next episode.